Hi, everyone. My name is Ricardo Everson. I've been with ShareFile going on 8 years. I'll be celebrating my 8th year this coming up new year. I've spent time on the tech support side, and currently I am with the adoption team as a customer success engineer.
And my name is Greg Horrocks. I'm on Ricardo's team here. I'm a customer success engineer as well in the adoption team. And today we're going to go through the ShareFile Getting Started webinar. And just want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for being ShareFile customers. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us here. And we hope that you get something out of this if you're a new ShareFiler or if you're just looking to get a refresher. I think this webinar today will be really good for you. So thank you. Just a little agenda here. Some of the topics we'll go through today is we'll go through the login process. We'll look at identifying your subdomain and going through the login process and activating an account, kind of what that looks like. Once you're in, we'll go through how the dashboard looks. We'll look at two-factor authentication on your account. And we'll look at folder management. We'll go through the differences between a shared and a personal folder. We'll create a folder and look at some of the permissions around those folders and files. We'll look at file management. So what's your file box? What's your inbox? And we'll go into actually more of actually using the platform to share a file and requesting a file. Look at uploading and downloading. And then we'll look at also user management. We'll touch on the people on your account, adding an employee user and their permissions. We'll look at some notification settings for getting notified around things that happen on your account. We'll look at some custom branding. So if you're new to ShareFile and you're just setting up your account and you want to make it look pretty and make it look like your company owns the site, we'll go through some custom branding. And then we'll look at where you can get some applications to really help you get into ShareFile on a multitude of devices. And we'll look at some of our resource options available, our resource center on our website, our support chat, our documentation, and then we'll show you how our YouTube page looks. And then we'll also just touch on some of the questions that come in the Q&A. Feel free to ask some questions during this webinar today. We have a group of panelists that are reading and responding to these, and we'll try to get to some of them live as well. All right, so let's get right into it. Let me stop sharing here and throw it over to Ricardo to kick us off.
I wanted to note a couple things before we go ahead and log in. One of the main things is the subdomain. And the way you can find that is by going to your address bar and looking at the first piece of information before .sharefile. This is our webinar demo account. So this has been identified as webinardemo.sharefile.com. For your own account, you might see some sort of abbreviation of your company's name or your company's name spelled out, but whatever you see before .sharefile, that will be known as the subdomain. And this is really important to know when you need to log into your account because you may be asked this information depending on how you are authenticating. The other thing I wanted to show you is the split login page here. This account itself has single sign-on enabled for it. So it allows for employee users to use their internal credentials to log in, as well as a password that they've established through ShareFile. I'm going to do the traditional way, but I did want to explain why you're seeing this split in the login here. For most of your accounts, you'll probably just see the right side, which is the traditional way of logging in. So we'll go ahead and log into the account. And here we are. So once you log in, the first area you're going to be taken to is what's known as the dashboard. This is a generic or just a general landing spot to do a bunch of different things within your account. We have 4 separate tiles or different tiles that can be identified or shown. The first you're seeing is recent files, shortcuts, then you have favorites and tutorials. If you wanted to edit what you're seeing tile-wise, you can go to the top right and choose Edit Dashboard. This will allow you to select or deselect what you want to show. I'm going to deselect tutorials and then click Save. And now I'll see that my tutorial tile has been removed. If I wanted to order these a special way, I can simply hover my mouse over the area until I see 4 arrows and just simply drag it to where I want it to be located. For now, what I want to show you is how to authenticate as a client user. And in order to do that, I'm going to actually manually create a Greg as a client user, and then he's going to show you using the activation link to get those credentials squared away. So let's go down to people. We're going to click on Browse Clients. I'm going to go to the top right and choose Add Client. And I'm going to type in Greg's information. For the sake of time, we're not going to add him to any folders or any distribution groups or anything else. We'll just move straight forward and click on Create and Continue. I'm going to continue anyway. And now I could preview the type of email that Greg's going to get to activate his account. So if you wanted to see what that was going to look like beforehand, just click on Preview Email. And we're presented with a little view of the recipient's email. You can also send yourself a copy if you needed that for any record. I'm going to leave that unchecked for now and just click Notify. And at this point, we'll switch over to Greg, and he's going to show you what the client experience is for activating an account.
Yep. So Ricardo has sent me a link to set up my ShareFile account. So you can see here, here's the email I got. It's the same one that he previewed. We do have a button here for Activate Account. And this is going to go through the basic client setup process. Name, first name and last name is required. Company is optional, but I will just put Greg's company in here. And I'll create a password. All right, that's a weak password. Let me try something else here. I'll use a suggested one. All right, and it looks like that took me in. So basic client login experience is pretty straightforward. If you do have two-factor authentication enabled for client users, what that will actually require before you log in is setting up a one-time code sent to a phone number. That could be a text code or a phone call. Once that's set up and you're authenticated into the system, at that point you can set up a authenticator app if that's easier for you to use. And we support a multitude of different authenticators like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Duo, things like that. So I'll switch it back over to Ricardo here, and we'll continue on.
Okay, so everyone should be looking at my dashboard now, and we're just going to take a deeper dive on to the left-hand side and the navigation pane on the left-hand side here. Just take a closer look at some of these areas. When we expand folders, we get two different types of directories, more or less. The first one is your personal folders. The second one is your shared folders. We recommend that if you're working internally or working with client users externally, you host those files in your shared folders area. Personal folders is pretty self-explanatory. It's more of just an area where you can gather items for you and you only, but any type of internal work should be hosted here in the shared folders area. Below that, we have favorites. Anything that I have starred yellow will be listed in my favorites area. This can be done with either folders or individual items. You can see the ones I just started are now listed there. And if you deselect from here, of course, they will move back to the area that they came from. Now, they don't move completely from shared folders into favorites, but they just, it will stay here in the shared folders when you start them. I just didn't want to confuse you on that. But when you do deselect from favorites, they do leave that area. As we scroll down, another area that is very important is the file box area. Think of this area as a generic landing spot for items when you're generating links. if you have a file that is not yet in ShareFile and you're using a desktop tool related to ShareFile to create a link for sharing or create a link to request items, those files have to land somewhere, especially when sharing. In order to be encrypted, it's got to go somewhere to have that encrypted link, and this is the area where those files land. One of the most important things to note is that the filebox does have a 180-day retention. So if there's items you need to have permanently and they're still in here after 180 days, they're going to be removed or purged from your account. So we recommend that you simply move them to another location that doesn't have this retention on it. To do that, you can simply select the file, go to More, and choose Move. And it's going to bring up your folder tree and allow you to choose another location to move that file. Below the file box, we have the recycle bin. This is an area where items go when you delete from your account. They will remain in here for 45 days, and after that, they are deleted permanently. Anything permanently removed here cannot be recovered, so it's very important that you just sort of take note what's in this area, and if you need it, you can also move it from the recycle bin as well if it was accidentally placed here. You could just simply select it, choose Restore, and it's going to put it back in the area where it was deleted from. As we go down, another area that is important to note is our inbox. From the inbox, we can receive items here. If you're working collaboratively with someone else who has ShareFile or have been sent an encrypted email from another ShareFile account, this is the area where you would see that. You can also start composing emails here as well. When we click on Compose, it allows you to start that encryption process. You're selecting who you're going to send it to and create your own subject line, provide a nice message, and then click Send that way. If you need to add items, clicking on Add Items up the top right and then choosing from ShareFile is going to pull up your folder tree and allow you to choose whatever item you would like to share. And now I have an encrypted file along with the body encryption letter to send to Greg here. We'll click Cancel Out. Anything that you've sent from your account will be placed under Sent Messages. If by accident you shared an item with someone and you want to prematurely expire that link, you can just simply go and find what you've sent, highlight it, and choose Expire, and that will kill the link. You can do these all in bulk as well by choosing the very top box, and we'll select all and then clicking on Revoking Access. Any items that have been archived will be shown here. I don't have any for this account, but you will see those archive messages in this area as well. Lastly, we're going to take a look at the shared and personal address books. Now, you may ask, how is one added to the shared address book? Whenever you create a share link or a request link and you send it out to a recipient, once they have access to that link, they're going to automatically become part of the shared address book. They will become part of the personal address book as well. The big difference between these two areas is that the personal, as I mentioned, the personal address book is built by sending share and request links, but only employee users can edit the shared address book, and they have to be given a certain permission in order to do that. So I'm going to go into my user really quickly and show you that permission. And then as you scroll down, you'll have user access. There we go, edit shared address book. So this particular user can go in and make changes to the shared address book.
All right. So we're going to take a look really quick at sharing a file and requesting a file. Now, there's a number of different ways that you can accomplish this, and it's really, at the heart of ShareFile. It's what it does best. So like I said, there are a couple ways to do that. Within a folder structure, you can select a file to send it out. You can also use your dashboard shortcuts here. So that's what we'll do today. So you can see I have shortcuts over here. We'll click Share Files. Now you can upload a file directly into ShareFile from your local computer. If you have already got the files within ShareFile, you can select from ShareFile like we've shown before. We'll go into shared folders here. I have a webinar demo. Let's just say we're sending out a contract to somebody. We'll add this file. We'll continue on. You can add more files. You can upload files if you'd like. And here you have a couple options. So you can go ahead and create a link, but we're going to look at the edit options here. So this is important here. So allow people with this link to view or download. Edit is going to be sign-in required. So let's actually, we're going to look at send to specific people. We're going to look at options. So view, download, edit, sign-in required. You can set expiration. This can be as short as 1 day up to a year or never. Always link the latest version of the file. So if your account does have versioning installed, whenever there's a duplicate file uploaded into a folder, it'll actually just create another version of that file. So you may have a bunch of different versions of a single file. And if you want to link to the latest version of that file, this option here would need to be selected. Adding a watermark if your account has this enabled. If there's just view permissions on a file and you really want to just keep it safe in case it goes into unauthorized hands, you can have it overlay a watermark of like the user or what device is accessing the file. Notifications, you can get notified when this file is accessed. And then you can also get a copy sent to this email. So we'll just put view on, we'll do 1 day, and we will save this. Now, when you're sending to specific people here, you can select people who are already in your ShareFile account, whether it's another employee within your organization. But if you wanted to send it to someone outside and they did not have an account, what this will prompt is this will send them an activation link to be created as a client user. So that process that we showed earlier where I got the email from Ricardo asking me to set up the account, if I were to put in an external address here, that would trigger that workflow there of sending them a activation link and then getting them into that file. You can also encrypt this email. So like we showed before, sending an email, you can encrypt the body of the message. So they won't really see anything that you type in here until they log in on and authenticate. So a similar way, if you wanted to just send a file out, if you're in a specific folder, same type of process, it's just within a folder structure. So if I were to go into my shared folders, my webinar demo folder, I can select this file and I'll have the same options to share the file out. So a number of different ways you can accomplish sharing a file. We'll go back to our dashboard and look at requesting a file. Very similar. You can request a file from directly within folder. If you want that to be its location, we're going to use our shortcut here. And it's a similar process. We're going to go through some options here. So by default, the file box is going to be where requested files go to. If you wanted to change that, you could be within a folder, that other way I was telling you, or you can choose a location here. So if I were to select my shared folders, go into my webinar demo folder and click done, that's where these files will be. And very similar process, getting a link can be very unsecure if you're just sending a quick link for someone to upload a file. If you're using your own email application and you just want to send somebody a link to drop the file in, that's one way to do it. Or you can send to specific people if you want there to be more auditing around, knowing who is accessing that file and only allowing a login for accessing the file that you're requesting, or accessing the upload space, I should say. All right. So we'll move on here to creating a folder and looking at some of the permissions around that. So within your personal folders and shared folders, you can create folders. Now this at the top level within shared folders is going to be a very strict permission. And that's there to prevent the top level from getting muddy and unorganized. So if you do have the permission to create top level or root level folders, then you'll have the plus here and you can create folders. Now, creating a folder is as simple as that. You're just creating a folder. You can add people directly to that folder during this process. You can invite external people if you want. It's the same kind of process as sending and requesting a file. For now, we're just not going to add any people. Applying a template. So a template is just it's a pre-configured folder structure that maybe you use on a regular basis, whether maybe you have some client interactions and you have the same folders for every client. This is a great way to auto-populate that folder with a subfolder structure. Storage zone, you won't really need to worry about this. If you're in the cloud and let's say you're on the East Coast, you'll want to keep this to ShareFile US East. So that's pretty much it for creating a folder here. We'll go ahead and create one here. We'll call it test folder. We're not going to use a folder template. And so now we have another top level folder called test folder. In the people tab here, you have items. These are the files and subfolders within this space. The people tab is going to show you who has access and what they have access to do within this folder. Now, if you notice here, there is myself. I'm always going to be the owner when I create a folder. We also have super users. So super users can be configured on an account. And these are users that have access to all files and folders on the account. They're not necessarily company admins. They can't necessarily look at billing and make changes to the account, but they're going to have access to everything. So just keep that in mind. And there is a way to hide that super users if you don't want people to see who has access. And permissions here. We'll touch on permissions. So a lot of these are pretty self-explanatory. So if I were to, let's say if I find Ricardo here, and I wanted to give him access to this folder, we have view, which is just like it shows, it's just viewing. Downloading and uploading is simply being able to retrieve the file from ShareFile and save it somewhere locally on their own machine. Upload is going to give them the ability to add and edit files within this folder. And delete is pretty self-explanatory. They can delete files if that's what you want them to do. Admin is going to be a little bit different. So if you have admin privileges on a folder, it gives you a little bit higher access and control over more advanced preferences on that folder, maybe retention policy, and file versioning, things like that. So we'll just give him admin here just for this demo purpose today. And folder alerts, you can set up email alerts when files are downloaded or when users upload files. And this is important to know if you do have those external client interactions and you really want to know when they're accessing or when they're uploading files to continue working with them. This is a great place to enable that. And then you can notify users and applying settings to subfolders. This is going to apply the same permissions here to any folders underneath this one. So if you don't want that and you just want them access to test folder here, and maybe you have some administrative folders underneath that you don't want them to have access to, you can uncheck this, and that will keep them from accessing those subfolders. We'll move along now. We'll take a look at some employee user permissions. So like I mentioned earlier, there are some permissions you can give users, like for instance, creating top level or root level folders. So within people settings, if you do have the admin rights to look at these, Go browse employees. And we will pull up Ricardo here. We'll kind of look at what he has access to. So if we scroll down on Ricardo's employee, you can see here under employee user settings, we have user access. This is going to be where you build their permissions. Now, this can be anything from, like I mentioned earlier, creating root level folders, using a file box if you don't want them to use a file box, accessing other users' file boxes, all the way through managing employees, changing the company branding and appearance, which we'll touch on in just a little bit, being able to look at the billing information, and even being able to manage folder templates. So these are all things that you can provide to someone who needs a little bit more administrative access to the account. All right. And another thing we'll take a look at here, we'll look at notification settings. So we have a couple different notification settings. And what I mean by notifications is anywhere where you set up, that you want notifications to be sent out when someone accesses a file or maybe logs in or something like that. Each person has their own personal settings. So account-wide, there's going to be a notification setting. But if you want to create your own, maybe you don't want to use the company's notification setting, you can adjust it to fit your needs. So if we go under settings while we're logged in, we'll go to personal settings, we'll scroll down under edit profile, and we have email notifications. So here we can change the email frequency. If you are someone who gets a lot of notifications, if your ShareFile account is very active, maybe twice a day or even once a day would be a good option to receive those notifications. And basically the notifications will be consolidated at one time. So you're not getting spam during the day every time something comes in. And if you're an admin and you wanted to change the settings, the default settings on the account globally, we'll go under email notifications. Here we are. So send email notifications. By default on this account, it's set to every 15 minutes. So, if you run a business where you need things ASAP, this might be a good thing to change to real time so that you always get notified of changes or files being accessed. And then the last thing we'll touch on here within this space is going to be custom branding. So if you do have the permissions, like I showed earlier, to change the company branding, we'll go into settings, admin settings, company account info, edit company branding. So there's a lot of things within here. So it would take a while to go through each one. But essentially, this is where you're going to change the appearance of your of the dashboard, of the header options, how the login page looks. If you have a company brand file that you want to display on your emails, these things will all be managed here. So just kind of touching into some of these, you can change how your page title looks. We'll change the accent color of your page. If you have a color that suits your company logo, the login page will allow you to do a lot with the background image, changing the title, the background color, the logo background color. I mean, it's endless what you can do here to really customize how your login page looks. And then when you send out emails, if you're using a lot of share links and you're sending them out via email, this is a place where you can customize how that looks and feels. And Ricardo touched on this earlier, but the subdomains, your company can have up to 3 subdomains. They'll all go to the same place, but it allows you to customize it a little bit. If you have some external clients, maybe you want their login to your ShareFile account to be a little bit different than your employees, just for ease of use or remembering, those can be updated here. And that's pretty much it for the branding. I definitely recommend coming in here if you're a new ShareFile account. If you're an admin on the account and you want to really customize how ShareFile looks, you can spend a lot of time in here. All right. So the last thing I'll talk about here are the ShareFile apps. So not only can you access ShareFile through through the web, but we also offer some applications for other devices. At the top right, you'll have a button for apps, and this will go through our Windows applications, our Mac applications, and we also have a mobile application. So for Windows, we have ShareFile for Windows, which if you enjoy just working out of File Explorer and and you're using your desktop a lot during the day and you don't want to access ShareFile through the web, a lot of the same functions can be carried out through the ShareFile for Windows application here. ShareFile for Outlook will allow you to create links, request files, all the goodness right through Outlook. So if you're sending encrypted email a lot and you want just an easier, more familiar way to send those out, you can get the plugin for Outlook right here. We have some other tools listed here. We do have ShareFile for Gmail. This will just be simply a link to the Google Chrome store to access that plugin there. We have parity here on the Mac. We have ShareFile for Mac. We also have the Outlook plugin for those Mac users. The mobile application will link you here to the App Store, the app stores for downloading Citrix files. And this will change eventually. It won't be called Citrix files forever, but just note that is there if you're on the go and you want to access ShareFile. We also have third-party integrations. So if you have this on your account, you are able to connect your Salesforce contacts or QuickBooks contacts right through this page here. We discuss some of our Microsoft Online integration. If you have Microsoft Online and you want to do some online editing or co-editing, that information is here. And then there's a number of different popular integrations that you can find more information on through this page here. So that's pretty much it for our demo space. I wanted to touch on a couple things here while we have you. Our ShareFile website is constantly evolving. There was a big change recently, but I wanted to highlight some of the places that I think you'd get some quality information from. The first is our resource center. So this is going to be where ShareFile will post blog posts or customer success stories, and it really gives you some great ideas of how you can use ShareFile in your organization or your industry. So I recommend checking this out sometime if you have a little downtime or during lunch. Check out some of these blog posts. You can really get some good information from it. Our help center here, which is simply sharefile.com/help-center. This is where we're going to have a link to our product documentation page. And this is simply docs.sharefile.com. I'll bring it up here. Great place to search for information on anything pertaining to ShareFile, really, how to use different ShareFile applications to, configuring different administrative tasks, things like that. The Knowledge Center, this is going to link to our Citrix Knowledge Center, and this is going to be merged in with the docs, but it's still a great place to find some of those older articles, but just note that those are going to be updated and brought into our documentation page. The Getting Started page here, this is going to have a lot of videos that link to YouTube, which I'll mention in a second, but they're just direct links to how-tos and some of our older webinar series. In the status page here, this is going to bring you to our ShareFile status page just to see if there's any major outages, things that could be affecting your access to ShareFile. And on the Help Center, if you do want to open a support ticket, you can start that from the green chat box here. It also will search through our documentation to try and help you out with that before it opens a ticket. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to kind of just show off here is we're constantly expanding our YouTube page, like Delia mentioned earlier, youtube.com/sharefile. All of our video, past webinar videos will be uploaded here, and they're all listed under our playlists. So we have ShareFile for legal, how-tos, we have some Podio information, and then down here, if you wanted to view past webinars, you'll click the View Full Playlist, and they will all be there. So if you missed some of this, you want to replay it, you don't want to wait for that email, be sure to check out some of our older webinars. These are great information. So that's all we had. What we're going to do now is we're going to open up some of the Q&A.
Yeah, Greg, there were a couple of questions that were asked that I had on tap to do live. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. One of those, I think, was editing link options for share and request links. And the other one was adding a request link to an email signature. To do this, the best way to start is by simply going to request files area. We can do this through the shortcuts here on the dashboard. I'm going to click request files. And I'm going to first take a look at where this file is going. Right now, it's selected to go to the file box by default, but as we mentioned earlier, there's only 180 days that the file will remain there before it's removed from the system. So if I needed to put it in a more permanent place, I could click on edit, and then I could choose a folder within my shared folders area. Just go ahead and select this one and click done. And now I see that that folder location has changed. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to move it back to the file box here, click done. And at this point, I want to generate a public link that I can change within my Gmail or Google Workspace. So I'm going to click on get a link. And I'm given a link that I can copy. And I'm going to click copy link. Now, this sort of ties into the other question, editing the options for a link or the access option. So if I wanted to take a look at that, what I could do is click on edit options right here. And my first item I'm looking at is access options. Who can access this link? And currently this link is set up to, by default, to have a client or an employee user be able to access it, but they have to have credentials. They have to sign in. I could change that to just employee users. Only employee users can use this link and sign in. Or if I just wanted someone to just click the link and access it without having to authenticate, I can choose anyone public. It's not going to require any information whatsoever, so keep that in mind. Or I can choose anyone public, but you must enter your name and email. For the sake of security, we do recommend the default. But if you want to, if you don't want to go that route and just want to choose anyone, I would at least require that you get their name and email so you could track the link after its use, if you need to run any reports or anything like that. Next, we have access expires. How long will this link last? Right now, it's set to never. If I wanted it to only last a short period of time, I could choose 1 day. So my recipient has to use this link within a day. But because I'm placing this link within my email signature, I want it to be good all the time. So I'm going to choose never. And last, anytime someone clicks on this link to give me data, I'm going to be sent a notification that items are being uploaded to my account. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. I'm going to copy. And I'm going to move to my email area. And once you're in your email, this is Gmail. I'm going to go to settings. And then I'm going to click on see all settings. I'll scroll down and access the signature area. So to embed this link, I need to choose the hyperlink icon here. This is my link I need to use. I'll paste it here, but I want to change the text to the way it's presented to my recipients. So I'm going to type in and click here to send files securely. If I click OK, I see that that link is now in my signature and I can just relocate it. And once it's there, I'm going to scroll down and click Save Changes. Now, when I compose an email, I should have that link a part of my signature. This is the area the recipient is seeing when they access that request link. So they'll just upload your files that way. So yeah, that's how you would add a request link to your email signature and edit the options for a link itself.
Perfect. Thank you, Ricardo. And another thing I'll show here, which looks like it was requested, was uploading a document into ShareFile to send for signature, and then having that document go back into where it was sent from. So let me pull my screen back up here. And what I've created here is a external client folder. And what my goal here is to upload a file that I need to send out for signature. So if you do have the right signature piece within ShareFile, this will be how you would accomplish that. So I'm going to upload a file by simply dragging and dropping from my local machine. Just say, for instance, I have this 4506T form that I need to send out for signature. So I've uploaded that file. I can preview it here by just clicking on the name of the document here. And I have some options on the right. And what I can do is send this for signature. And this will open up our right signature area. And it will start to prepare that document for us. And this is where we can go in and put some fields and some signature requirements in there. So we'll prepare document. You can add another signer. You can put yourself on there. Or if you do have some of those contact integrations, you can choose contacts from here. We're going to click on Next, Place Fields. And this is where we can place some text fields, some date fields. You have a lot of options, including some attachments or some checkbox groups, things like that. For today's demo, just to keep it short, we'll add a couple text fields and we'll add a signature field. So we'll add a text field here, one here. And then we will add a signature field. Just say signature needs to go here. Now, once we're happy with that, we'll go to next down here, review. And another thing we have here, if you notice on the right, we do have some annotation options. So if you wanted to add your signature in here before this gets sent out, you can. We're going to keep it simple, have a couple text boxes. When you want to modify this document, any of these fields, you can simply click on a field. You can require this field. You can clear the background. You can name this if you want to reference them later. For now, we're just going to delete. Go next, review. You can put a personalized message in here. And you can set an expiration on the signature request. You can put a passcode on there if you want a little bit extra security and provide that code via phone call or something. KBA is a knowledge-based authentication, which most people have probably seen before on some websites where you're asked to sign something and it asks you some questions about maybe your car or maybe a previous address. These are public services that will help authenticate a person's identity based on a few extra questions. You can tag these for looking up later. We'll send that document out and you can see the status of it. Right now it is pending. You can see the security options here when it expires, what kind of passcode was on there, if there's any sequencing in the signers, and you can also download the original file. And if we go over to my email here, you can see that the email address that I sent to is here, and it has a review and sign document. And the red marks here are the required fields that we needed. And I will just put some information in here just to test. And for the signature, you can use your mouse. You can also type. You can switch between the two. I'll simply type. Apply. You do have some other options here. You can decline it if you don't want to sign it, and it will send a notification back to the sender. You can also download the document. You can save its progress if you want to revert back to it later. We're going to go ahead and submit. And now you can see the status has been executed, and you'll see at the very bottom of the document, there will be a signature certificate with some information about where and when it was signed. And that's pretty much it for the signing process. If we go back into, let's go back into the folder here, you can see that now not only do we have the original document, but we have the request for transcript signed. So this went back to that external client folder that we created. And since we sent it from this folder, the signature page will go right back to its original location. So I hope that helped. Ely, do you have that question handy?
Yeah, the client has to actually type their name for signature. There is not a click on file option that would auto-populate their signature. It's definitely a requested feature for sure. I know with saved signatures, if you're like signing it yourself, you do have the option to select a saved signature to use instead of having to
Right.
like type it. Would you mind pulling up the saved signatures, Greg?
Yeah, so let's see if we go sign yourself when you're opening the document. This might be where that is. So it's actually preparing it because we haven't created a template yet. So right here, we have the option to toggle between type and draw, but we also have the option for using a saved signature. And this will bring up my previous signatures that I've used.
And then there was a question that came up about right signature or e-signature integrations. Can you just pop over to the left under settings and click integrations? And yeah, so these are the integrations available. The question was about Stripe. So yes, we do have a Stripe integration and you can enable it here. All right, but I'm going to turn it back over.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining today. Hope you got something out of this, and we look forward to working with you in the future. And yeah, again, thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you as well. It was fun.